Welcome back to Motherboards.org, everybody. I'm Elric Ferris, your host, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the latest products from the people over at Sapphire, and it's actually a product that separates itself from the masses. You guys will find out why as we get more in detail. The card I'm talking about is Sapphire's latest DualX HD 7950 Flex Edition card. Now, the DualX stands for a couple different things. It has a dual BIOS, and it has dual fans, which means if one of your BIOS takes a crap when you're flashing it, you can switch it back into the other one, flash it correctly, and save your card. Having two fans means it's going to be keeping the card running very cool, and the Flex Edition means it supports mini monitors in the Eyefinity realm. Usually, most Eyefinity setups are consisting of 3 monitors. Now, when you use this in flex mode, you can use up to 5 monitors. These are some of the key points of this card. So beyond that, let's jump in. Let's look at the features, then the performance, and then let's see at the end of the day how this card is worth your money from the people over at Sapphire. Now let's take a look at the card itself. There are many features of this card that are actually hidden beyond the plastic shroud you see right on top. But just taking a look at the externals, you can see it features 2 fans, clearly marked DualX design and flex, with the Sapphire HD 7950 clearly imprinted on the plastic. Then we're going to turn the card around to the side. You can see all of the heat pipes on the side of the card where it's going to be cooled. Underneath that, we have all the heat fins. This is what gives this card its superior cooling. You can also see there are 2 pins for your crossfire mode, so this card can do 4-way crossfire. Now the DualX is a little switch. It's really hard to see. It's really small right down here, but you can see you just switch this switch back and forth, and this is how you change your BIOS. Now, as far as the card's dimensions, the card size is in at 10.83 inches by 4.53 inches by 1.65 inches. It'll be translated into centimeters on the screen for you folks. Now, the standard reference card, it comes to market at 800 megahertz. This card comes to market at 860 megahertz, so it's overclocked 60 megahertz right out of the box. It has 1792 stream processors, 3 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory, a 1250 megahertz effective memory clock, and a 384-bit memory interface. Another thing about this card that separates it are the black diamond components. Now, these components are supposed to be the highest quality that Sapphire can get their hands on, and it's one of the key things about this card. That, the cooling, and the flexibility are some of the really key points about this card. Now, if we take a look at the rear I/O, we can see it features 1 HDMI port, 2 mini display ports, 2 DVI ports, which is 1 single and 1 dual link, and those connections translate into 3 DVI monitor Eyefinity support right out of the box and 5 monitor Eyefinity support in flex mode with the adapters. Also, like every other company out there, Sapphire has their own overclocking software utility. Theirs is called Trix. You can see a picture of that right here on the screen. It's very easy to use. All you do is slide the bars back and forth to where you want it to be, set it, and away you go. Now that we've seen the card and its features, now let's check out its performance. All right, so there you have it, folks. We've seen how fast the card is, we've seen its features, we've seen how cool it runs, and we know that it supports 5 monitors in Eyefinity mode with the new Flex Edition card. Now, the one thing that's really cool about this, even if you're not going to run 5 monitors, is you still have the availability to hook up 3 DVI connections, 2 through standard DVI and 1 through an HDMI DVI connector. So you still get 3 monitor support, which is really cool. Now, the card never ran hotter than 73 degrees Celsius, which is, pretty much around the standard just a card if you run it in stock mode, but you can adjust this card in many different ways. You can also use the included Trix software to even overclock the card farther if you want to. The superior cooling of the card means you can go in, adjust the fans, and turn them up. Now, you're going to have to take this into consideration though. If you're going to overclock your card, you're going to have to turn the fans up. So there's going to be a trade-off. If you want the Flex Edition card to run cool, you want to keep it at stock settings. It keeps it cool enough, and it is very, very quiet. That's one thing you get with air cooling. You get very good cooling and very quiet cooling. And the ability to do 5 monitors right out of the box is really cool, because some people out there, they're going to take advantage of that. If you're somebody who's an accountant, you work at the stock market, this is something you're really going to want to take a look into, because you would have a need for that. And with 3 gigabytes of RAM, like I said a minute ago, you'll be able to do that flawlessly. 1 gigabyte cards, you start splitting it up, they fail tremendously. A 3 gigabyte card, you've got enough oomph to make it over the hump. Now, as far as price goes, we've seen a price reduction lately. The card was about $400, but you can find it for now about $370 if you look around on the internet. Now, at the end of the day, I can't say this card's an editor's choice card, but it is a very hot product for the 7950 categories. So at the end of the day, I gotta say, the new Sapphire HD 7950 with all of its features, the ability to change your BIOS and flash it back and forth is a very good feature for those people who like to try messing with their cards and doing different settings. All good stuff. So Sapphire's HD 7950 Flex Edition gets a Hot Product Award here on Motherboards.org.